Hello, you're listening to the Sci-Fi Ideas podcast, episode 0, the very first episode, with me, Mark Ball, and my brother David Ball. You there, David?
Hello. I'm here, yes, I'm here.
This is the third or fourth time we've tried to record this, but David's internet connection keeps going, so if he sounds like a Cylon, if David sounds like a Cylon, that's why. Or
a Dalek. I thought we were living in the future. I thought everyone's internet connection everywhere would be absolutely fine, you know, especially for what we're doing, which is voice.
Yeah.
You know, we're not recording HD video over the internet or anything. We're doing voice, which is, as far as I know, broadcasting your voice works for like 100 years.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, so
anyway, let's talk about some science fiction.
Yeah, the idea behind this podcast is that we're going to talk about some of the ideas that are on the Sci-Fi Ideas website, and then maybe go into general science fiction, maybe talk about some ongoing world stuff as well. David runs the role-playing website, Ongoing Worlds. Would you like to tell us something about that?
Oh, I can do, yeah. It's a website where people can create ongoing stories. Well, we kind of call them role-playing games because it's kind of like a world where you're writing and taking it in turns to write a little bit more of the story each time. And there's quite a few games on there already. And so there's like sci-fi games and fantasy games and things like that.
Text-based
and it's
RPG.
All text-based role-playing games. Yeah, that's right. And there's a lot of really talented writers on there as well. And it's all kind of social writing, really. People writing stories and sort of helping each other out, and then working together on making a story that just goes on and on, which is really cool.
Okay, so the longest running science fiction game on there would be Blue Dwarf.
Yeah, that's been going 13 years.
13 years.
Which is really, really good.
Wow.
13 years. I started it. We started it when I was in college.
Yeah.
No, it was before university. It was when I was in college.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually me that started it, but the guy who did. It didn't last very long, but I kind of took it on, and then I've been doing it 13 years. In fact, lately though, the last few months I've been the worst Blue Dwarf member on there because I've not done anything. I've not posted at all. Let the other guys kind of really take control of the story, and they've been brilliant actually, and it's been going on quite well without me. I've just been taking a bit of a hiatus just to focus on some other stuff. And the other guys they've been continuing it, and it's going really well. So I keep seeing the occasional story, and I keep being involved in a little bit of discussion that they have, and it sounds like the story is just going absolute bananas. And no, in a good way. It's always been a quirky sci-fi. Well, it's based on Red Dwarf, but it's comedy. Kind of people's inspirations come from kind of all over really, and they just kind of put silly ideas in, and but it's just really good fun. Anyway, lately people have been posting all over the place. I mean,
is the captain still a hamster?
No, no, but the character who the 6-foot hamster. He left for a while, for quite a few years actually, and now he's back. But he's not the captain right now. In fact, they kind of, I don't know. Did you want to go into the story of it?
Well, I was going to quickly ask. 13 years ago, Blue Dwarf set out to find Red Dwarf, which had gone missing, obviously.
Yes.
BBC TV series. Have you found Red Dwarf?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we met. Oh, have we found it? Well, it was kind of one of those missions that you never really are supposed to ever solve. That was only the concept of it.
Yeah, this is the reason that you go out into the galaxy. So if you actually find
that's right, yeah.
The concept kind of falls apart. Yeah. I
think there were a few stories where we found... There was definitely a parallel universe story where we found Red Dwarf. But that was like a dark parallel universe where everyone had a goatee beard, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But as of, when was it, last year, maybe the year before, we did a sort of rebooted story where that's not the story anymore.
Okay.
Because it was always set, because how Red Dwarf the series is, the very first episode it's set in our future, but it's in their their
It's 3 million years.
present.
Yeah.
Well, but then, well, in the first episode, they show that the ship sort of drifts for 3 million years, and Lister is in stasis for those 3 million years. But we've always had the main story taking part in the time period right from the very start.
Okay.
So when there is like this civilization in space, because the 3 million years after, it's kind of like post-apocalypse, isn't it? It's like post-apocalyptic space. The only spaceships they find are like derelicts.
Yeah.
The only creatures they find are like genetically modified creatures that they never find any humans.
Kind of cyborg things. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a gritty show, really, for a comedy. It's a gritty setting, anyway. Yeah. I think Red Dwarf was before its time, really.
Oh, I don't know, because you had Blake Seven. I never watched much, but
I've never seen Blake Seven. No.
No, I feel a bit bad actually as a sci-fi fan not watching.
I know,
Blake
it's
7,
one of those shows that
was
really
so iconic. Yeah.
I was talking to Cassidy Frizzy about this the other day. I said I'm still waiting for the remake. Everybody's always trying to remake it, and they just never get very far. I don't know why.
Oh, really? I didn't realise that.
Yeah,
what, the BBC?
The BBC have talked about it. Various American networks have talked about it.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me if Netflix has talked about it.
Oh, it would be. It was an iconic show, wasn't it? Probably because of the setting, or was it because of the ending? What do you reckon? Because I know the ending was pretty harsh.
Yeah,
I think that is the reason. Actually, that's the reason why I've not watched it, because I know that the ending.
You don't want to get into it because you know how it ends.
That's it. Yeah. I don't know if you want to do any spoilers, but I think it's what 30 years old, so I think it's fine if we spoil the ending. But in the end, everybody dies. There's absolutely no hope whatsoever.
So there's a Blue Dwarf podcast as well, isn't there?
There is a Blue Dwarf podcast, yes.
And this is people reading out the story so far, is it?
That is, yeah. We've had about 40 episodes recorded and published so far, and the guys who are recording it are doing a really, really good job.
The people that actually write the story read it out, do they?
That's right, yeah. We kind of started with people recording their own the stories that they've written, but that doesn't always work out. But we've got like 4 or 5 people recording, and they're doing a really good job. They're doing a kind of really professional job of the voice acting and stuff. And if you want to listen to that, you can go to, well, you can find it on iTunes.
Yeah, and it's on YouTube as well, isn't it?
And it's on YouTube as well.
Okay. I believe there was an article you wanted to talk about on sci-fi ideas.
Well, as this is the first episode of the podcast, do you want to talk more about sci-fi ideas and what it is?
I can do, yes.
Tell me what sci-fi ideas is.
Sci-fi Ideas is a website that provides ideas and inspiration to science fiction writers. That's the tagline, ideas and inspiration. Basically, we share lots of story ideas, ideas for alien species, ideas for planets. Occasionally we'll talk about the science behind science fiction, although I don't know too much about that. We also have featured stories. Once a month, a short story. And we've also now got the inspiration gallery and various other features, and this podcast too. Yeah.
You were saying that about the science behind stuff, and I noticed you got an article called "Screw Wikipedia, Contact a Scientist." Now, when I've been writing science fiction, which admittedly I've never been published, but I've never got to the stage where I've actually needed to actually, have real scientific facts in there. And I wonder if, do you need actual scientific facts, or can you just get away with saying, it's the transporter transponder code?
It's the Heisenberg data, yeah.
Yeah, well, is that a thing? You just make
That's something in Star Trek, yeah.
Okay. Like in Star Trek, it's the deflected edge. It's done the thing and it's said A. Does it actually
really
need to make
polarised.
sense?
It doesn't.
Yeah,
no.
couldn't you just say, well, do you need that in a story? Does that make a good story?
It depends. No, science doesn't make a good story, but it can help. Sometimes it's good to be accurate. And
Okay.
it depends on the reader, doesn't it? I mean...
Well, yeah, if your audience are scientists, then they're going to science. Well, probably, I don't know.
Or if your audience are just really nitpicky.
Yeah.
A good example is Gravity. Recently come out, everyone's raving about it, but there's still some...
I've not seen it yet.
It's, well, before it came out, people were saying it's the most scientifically accurate sci-fi film. Or space film.
Okay.
And then you get Neil deGrasse Tyson watching it in the cinema and tweeting about the science not quite working.
Well, that's bang out of order. You shouldn't be tweeting in the cinema.
No.
Should he?
That's annoying.
Never use your phone in the cinema. That's annoying. There's probably someone just sat a row behind him going, "Oh my God, I'm trying to enjoy the film," and there's this guy just tweeting on his phone, really distracting.
These physicists
are
so rude.
These physicists. Okay. So there are problems then. Are they major plot problems?
I don't know. I haven't seen the film.
Oh, well, we're both the same then. Well, we need to see it.
We do.
We definitely do. Well, is it like what's that one that came out recently that had the big space Taurus in it?
Oh, Elysium.
The Elysium, yeah. So obviously it's got this big space Taurus, and
this is
supposed to keep the atmosphere in. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered if it's not scientifically accurate. Because there's some people saying that would what?
You say that, but the first thing you said to me about it, because you saw it before me, was about the atmosphere.
Yeah, but it solved problems in the story. The problem is, you've got a spaceship coming from Earth, going to this space station. Now, if it was completely accurate, it'd have to go through some sort of docking bay or airlock, something like that. But because of the way that they'd done it, they had this big space Taurus that was spinning, and supposedly the gravity keeps the atmosphere in. It means that they could just land straight away.
Yeah, it's basically meant to be Cuba going to Florida on dinghies, isn't it? That's what it's kind of pastiching.
Yeah, like most sci-fi, well, my favourite sci-fi, I suppose, it's an allegory. I like that. I like that it's an allegory for immigration and
so if these people had to dock and then enter that way, it just wouldn't have the same dramatic effect.
No, it wouldn't. If they've got to go through an airlock, it doesn't. It's clumsy. It's clumsy for the story.
Yeah. So
you kind of need things to happen seamlessly.
Step science slightly for the sake of story, and that's fine. But everybody talked about that scientific inaccuracy.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
So you need to be mindful of real science, but
I thought
not stick to it strictly, I suppose.
Yeah, okay. I thought in that film that they were sort of saying that it was accurate anyway. I thought they actually contacted scientists and whatever and said, yes, this is possible. But I don't know. I assume not.
Well, I assume they were taking inspiration from Larry Niven's Ringworld, which I believe doesn't have anything keeping the atmosphere in. But that was massive, though, wasn't it? That was huge, yeah. Well, it orbited the star at the same distance as the Earth from the Sun. So it's just
like Halo.
Scale. Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at one of the articles on sci-fi ideas. I don't have it up because I just had to change. I just had to restart my browser. But it was one where it was one of your Alien August. It was the Yazaz. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. YZAZ. In the first paragraph, it says about a landmass which is shaped like a torus. Now, these aliens that the article is about, they originated in and lived in the sunward side of Gan, a toroidal, in bracket, donut-shaped region between the edge of the night side of the planet and the perpetual cyclone in the east pole of the planet. So I just imagine that this. Well, I don't really understand it. I assume the whole planet isn't donut-shaped, but this is part of the planet where the landmass is shaped like a donut. Is that something is that a thing?
This is a tidally locked planet.
Right.
Do you know what that means?
Not really, no.
It means that the surface of the planet is tidally locked to the sun, so that the gravity of the sun prevents the world from spinning. So one side.
Oh, I see. So one side's always facing the sun,
and one is always.
So
dark.
you've got a dark side.
Yeah, like Remus.
Ah, right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. So in that case, then.
So they live in the donut-shaped region between the edge of the. So basically, they live in the twilight zone.
Okay. Fine. So
it's evening / morning.
So that's something that can exist, and that can be.
Tidally locked worlds, yes.
That could be. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. We found several tidally locked planets. Well, the moon is tidally locked to the Earth.
True, it is. Okay. Could life exist on a planet like that?
Oh, well, that's what we don't know. This is where the fiction part comes in. I believe we found some Earth-like planets that are tidally locked, but we don't know enough about them to say whether life could actually exist there or not. It causes a huge disruption in weather because the atmosphere is constantly being heated up on the light side, and then it rushes around to the dark side, and then you just get this kind of huge storm effect, where that's then cooling and going back to the dark side and constantly kind of swarming around.
So this article about the Yazaz, it's written by Johnson Barrero, by the way. They do talk about the cyclones on the east pole of the planet.
Ah, well, there you go.
So there you go. So he's obviously thought about this.
Yeah. Well, there's been quite a few articles about it. Because Kepler found an Earth-like planet, meaning a rocky planet.
Yeah. And
they've been studying it, and this is what's the atmosphere is speculated to be like.
It says the sunward side is largely covered with forests of black-leaved plants. Interesting. Why black-leaved plants? Does that absorb the most? Absorbs the most sunlight, doesn't it? It's black.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And then fungus fields in the region of the perpetual shadow. Yeah, because fungus doesn't need sunlight.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It should be nice and moist there too.
Moving sun. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
It's a good article, this one.
Oh, yeah. It is quite a good article. Yeah. Did you want to talk about Alien August?
Yeah. Well, this was part of Alien August, wasn't it? This was an entry to the competition where we asked people to create their own alien species and write an article describing them. There are a lot of articles, so I won't go through them all, obviously.
No, that's fine.
Well, I wanted to mention Dan Palakios, who wrote the winning article, The Cooties of Io, which is a silicon-based life form living on Io. It gave quite a lot of scientific description, and also talked about their relations with humans, which was quite interesting. There was a lot going on in this article, which is why it won.
Yeah.
He is now writing a story, he's written a story about the Cooties of Io, which I'm currently just reviewing at the moment. We're going to share that on the website soon.
Fantastic.
More than a short story.
Like that?
It's a novella, so...
oh, right, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's 30,000 words.
Oh, he has been busy. Right, okay. Yeah. Okay. No, it was great. The thing that he wrote, it was... I seem to remember he had a lot of... Well, so much detail in there. Because he did talk about the world as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he also... Was he the one that is quite quirky and funny as well?
Yeah, he's got some great details in there. And then also just some brilliant kind of sense of personality in there. Yeah,
that's it. Yes, it goes from like lots of detail, and then there's a funny bit, and there's lots of detail again, and there's a funny bit.
Yeah. About these aliens getting drunk on some kind of cocktail of chemicals. Yeah, he's quite a clever writer. He doesn't describe himself as a writer. He's he says he's an amateur, but he does some really good stuff. Also, during Alien August, he shared a short story called The Planet Brokers. Now, this was a very interesting one.
Was that him as well? Oh, I liked that one.
Yeah.
There's certain ones that really stick in my mind because I can't remember every single one because my memory is rubbish. But that one did really stick in my mind.
Yeah, this was a really popular story. This is the most popular story we've shared so far, I think.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. For the podcast, and give us a kind of brief description of it.
Well, it's not really a story. It's more, well, he describes it as a monologue, where he's basically talking about these aliens turn up at Earth and they want to buy Venus, the planet Venus.
Okay.
So we make this deal with them, and it's basically kind of asking the question: did we get a good deal? He describes what they need the planet for, which is to make some brown matter, which is used in hyperdrive technology. Right. And in return for them, they literally take the planet elsewhere to another solar system and use it to manufacture this brown matter. And in return, we get a portion of this brown matter. We get taught how to make our own hyperdrives. And they also do some remodeling in the solar system for us because orbits have changed, removing one planet.
Well, so that's it. Yeah, gravity's
Mars are closer to make up for it somehow, and that then makes Mars slightly more habitable. They help us with the terraforming. So we get quite a lot in this deal. We really get kind of a kickstart to get into the galactic community. But we've also sold our major asset, which is the one planet we have capable of making this really valuable material. So it's very good in the short term, but should we have held on to the asset in the long term?
So his article then, it's like a lot of articles on sci-fi ideas, it's there as a starting point, or is like brief?
It's a story. It's a self-contained story, but rather than there being any characters or anything, it's just discussing this arrangement and asking the question: was it worthwhile? And that seems to have got a lot of people thinking. Yeah. You could use this as a starting point for a story. Yeah.
I've got a question then, and forgive me for asking it, but it's the kind of thing that someone might ask, which is the articles on sci-fi ideas. Can people take them and can they take those ideas and then use them in their own stories? They
can, yes. I get asked this quite a lot.
Yeah.
The website exists to inspire people to share ideas, and you can't copyright an idea. Obviously, you can't take.
Well, can you? I don't know.
No, when it comes to fiction, you cannot copyright an idea. You can copyright the text. A written work is your intellectual property, but an idea is just an idea. So if you want to take inspiration from any of these articles, feel free to do so. Just write them in your own words, and then contact us and let us know you've done it, and then we'll help you get it out there. We'll be interested to see.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah. Well, things that inspire me are, reading and listening to other stories. Because I listen to a lot of escape podcasts, and the kind of things they have, they're only short stories, really, but they'll pick brilliant short stories that they've got some really great concepts. As I think that a lot of short stories are like this, they will be about concepts, and then they'll kind of end once you've kind of discovered the concepts. I think a lot of short stories are like that, and I like that. And I forgot where I was going to go with this. Because that quite inspires me, because even if you listen to one that that you don't like, and that's rare. It is rare, to be honest, but there's always something that I'll get out of a story. It might be the setting, it might be the way they've done the world building, it might be the way they've described the world, because once you've done the world building, that's only half the battle, isn't it? You've got to describe it in a way that makes it sound interesting.
And you've got to have engageable characters as well.
And you've got to have engageable characters, which you don't forget about those. Some people, they're the easiest thing. Some people, they're the most difficult. I don't know.
So, I mean, two people, well, more than two people, could take an idea from one of our articles and write them in completely different ways. And the
absolutely.
Result could be completely indistinguishable from each other.
Well, you've got some articles where it's about the world, haven't you? Or about the system of government, or about the system of just how the world works. And you can set many different stories on that. Like the world that we talked about with the light and dark ones always facing the sun. There could be any stories written in that. You could focus on the
I'm sure there are plenty already, yeah.
I'm sure there are, yeah. Yeah, but it's just that you can do whatever you want. The setting doesn't dictate the story.
I get a lot of people writing to me that they're worried about people stealing their ideas. And I think, well, why?
No, go for it. Go for it.
But if you want to write this story and publish it anyway, then people might steal it once you've published it.
Oh, yeah, true.
The whole point is that you want people to read this stuff. So then what's to stop them using it anyway once you've reached an audience? Okay, by then you've made your money from it, hopefully.
Yeah.
But people can copy ideas anyway, so I say just share and share alike.
Loads of ideas have been done anyway, haven't they? It's difficult to think of any.
This is it.
It's difficult to think of any that hasn't been done before in some sort of shape or form.
All great sci-fi is built kind of on the shoulders of giants. People will take each other's concepts and build on them and mix them together in different ways.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I'm inspired by a lot of the things on sci-fi ideas. I do like the pictures that you've been posting recently as well, like the pictures that you post on Facebook. There's some. Oh yeah, it just kind of inspires me, like those the farming ones. Those ones I can't remember.
Talk about this. The Inspiration Gallery, our new regular feature.
Yeah. Where
we're sharing a gallery of images by an artist once every month.
Yep.
And this first one is by Simon Stallenhag. I think he's pronounced it, a Swedish artist.
Okay.
And, so it's this mixture of rural scenery, robots, and dinosaurs.
Is there a dinosaur? Oh yeah, there is a dinosaur.
There's
of course,
a couple of dinosaurs mixed in, yeah.
They look like feathered raptors, don't they? But they're just in a field, like somewhere in Europe.
Kind of iguanodon too, near some kind of downed spaceship. Oh no, it's a hover thing. I think that's a hover harvester.
I assume you're looking at it right now.
I am. Yeah.
But yeah, what I really like are the ones where it just looks like a farm. There's one where there's these two kids, just look like kids in a field of I don't know what it is, like long grass or corn or something, and they're just looking at this thing. It kind of looks like one of those from Star Wars. Is it the AT-AT or is it the two-legged ones? But it's obviously
the four-legged one, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh God, I can't remember. Yeah.
Anyway,
you know what I mean. Anyway, the walker things, yeah. And it's obviously like just a bit of farm machinery.
But they're controlling it.
Are they controlling it?
Yeah, one of the kids, he's got a backpack on connected to a glove, and he's obviously with the glove, and so he's walking this huge thing towards a police car.
No, it's not a police car, is it?
Yes, it is. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, I thought these were all like agricultural things. I thought it was like a tractor of sorts.
Well, maybe it is.
Maybe it is. Oh God, I'm thinking there's something more sinister going on now. That he's just going to trash the police.
Yeah, and his friend is getting ready to run.
Yeah.
I like that. There's so much personality in these.
Yeah. They created like the art style is very kind of photorealistic, but also a little bit. What's the way to describe it? A little bit cartoony. It's not cartoony, but
it does look like photographs that have then been gone over and kind of coloured.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it's a photograph from the future.
Well, I thought maybe the robots have been added after.
Okay. No, I don't think so. I think it's just that he's a very good artist.
So, if anybody listening has a suggestion of an artist or a gallery that we should be sharing next month, email us and let us know. Email address is mark@scifiideas.com. While we're on the topic of people emailing in, we could really use some short story submissions.
Right, okay.
I can hear you breathing really loud.
I'm out of breath. I just ran up the stairs. Sorry, I'm incredibly unfit. I'll stop. I'll stop breathing. I'm sorry. I'll hold it in.
Short story submissions. We have a story for this month, which is going to be a Halloween special.
Ooh.
Yes, it's by H.G. Wells.
No. H.G. Wells emailed in, did he?
Yeah, he emailed in a submission. Yeah.
Brilliant. Good.
It's the story of the late Mr. Elvisham, which is a story I heard on Escape Pod several years ago as a Halloween special.
All right, okay.
Talking about Escape Pod again. It's a very good podcast. So, after the H.G. Wells story, I don't know what stories we're going to share, so we really could use some new submissions.
Okay.
The submission address, by the way, is admin@SciFi Ideas.
What's your favourite time travel film?
Oh, goodness me. I don't think I have one. I'm not really a fan of time travel.
What? No, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I find it a bit annoying.
Well, it is annoying, but...
Time travel stories go through the same old cliches over and over again, and they usually don't make sense.
Not always, though.
No, but it just it plays with my willing sense of disbelief. If it's time travel, I always go, yeah, that's stupid, I don't believe it. And I just don't buy into it, and I find myself unable to enjoy it because of that.
Okay, a time travel movie that I think you will really like, and it does make sense, is one called Time Crimes. And it's Spanish, I think?
Yes, I believe it is.
Spanish. Oh, you've heard of it then?
I've heard of it.
I think I've told you about this before.
Probably.
But it's brilliant. It doesn't really go into the explanation of what the time machine thing is, and it's I assume it's low budget because there's no real special effects, but it works. It works. It's very well made, and yeah, I think it deals with time travel very, very well, because it all matches up.
The Time Traveller's Wife, I thought, worked very well.
The movie or the book? Because I
haven't read the book, but the movie things do connect up well. And to say this is written as a piece of slipstream fiction rather than science fiction, it's actually a lot tighter than most ordinary science fiction.
I think it's for girls. I think I read it and I enjoyed it. It was a really good film. Really good book. But I
enjoy that kind of crossover of genres.
Yeah. In fact, it was
romance. I think that's quite interesting.
That's fine. In fact, it was a really emotional ending. I do remember. I know this makes me sound a bit girly, but I was in tears by the end of the book.
Oh dear.
A book. I don't think a book's ever made me cry before.
Yeah.
I sound like such a wuss.
A book never made me cry before either, but then I don't read chick lit.
If someone threw one at you really hard, then it might make you cry.
Yeah. I think the first Game of Thrones book might have made me cry once, just because it was so damn long.
Oh, why don't you end?
The jousting scene in the middle. I mean, you don't realise when you just watch the TV show. I mean, that's just one episode, and it's quite fun. But in the book,
I love the jousting bit of the TV show.
But they name all of the knights that take part in this joust.
Oh my god.
And describe the emblems, and oh god. Just overwhelming how many names there are and how insignificant the characters are.
Well, do you think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that is too much detail? I mean, is it needed, or should you only put enough detail in for the story? Is it good to have more detail than you need to really feel like it's a real world?
Yeah.
Or do you only need information that's directly related to the storyline, something that happens later? I
think the extra detail really does it helps pad out this world and make it seem real.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a big fan of world building, I think.
Yeah.
George Martin does a great job with the world building in these books, he really does. It's the details that make it. It's just that sometimes he goes a bit too far.
Yeah, okay. too much detail.
Details, great. Backstories. There's kind of just a wealth of kind of lore in Westeros. That everything has a history, and you really feel that it's real because of that. But lists of names, not so good.
Yeah. Is there a science fiction equivalent of Game of Thrones?
I'm not sure what you mean.
No, I don't either. I don't know why I asked it.
As in a science fiction that has huge world building.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there is.
There are many, yeah.
Actually, Matt, I spoke to Matt today, and he was telling me about this series of books. He lent me one of these books by Ian Irvine, called Geomancer, and he says that I would actually really enjoy it if I could actually be bothered to read it. But the thing is, I've had it on my shelf for ages, thinking it's too fantasy. I like more science fiction. But he said that I would like it because it's kind of like science fiction fantasy. And I don't know with that sort of thing. What do you think? Because I know you don't often like fantasy for fantasy's sake, and you always prefer sci-fi like me.
Well, I think what I don't like about fantasy is the way that anything's possible. You don't need to explain stuff. Stuff doesn't need to make sense, and there's an excuse for everything. It's basically, I don't like magic.
Well, isn't that the same as in sci-fi? If you don't explain what the technology is, isn't it essentially magic?
In a way, yeah. But, yeah.
In Star Trek, do we really need to know that the deflector dish has a anti-polaron emitter? Or can we just go, yeah, it's magic? Obviously, we don't think it's magic because we know that it's science, based on science, and scientists have worked on it. It's not actual magic. Do we actually need to know what makes all this equipment work?
Of course we don't need to know, but it's the workaround. We need to know that stuff is possible and kind of grounded somehow.
Yeah.
There needs to be some boundaries to a world.
Yeah.
To make it real. So that if the deflector dish is broken, the Heisenberg compensator's bust or whatever, somebody needs to go and fix it.
Yeah.
The language that they use, yeah, it may as well be magic, but somebody's there fixing it, doing something technical that we could understand. With fantasy and with magic, they could just go, behold, it is fixed. Or they could summon 1,000 demons that, instead of using the deflector dish, just use these demons instead.
Right, yeah.
And it gets in the way of things like Jeopardy. That you never know when somebody can just do something unbelievable.
Right, okay.
Pull a rabbit out of the hat, quite literally.
So if there was some peril, you don't really know if you're reading a fantasy book if that peril is real or if someone can just
away.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a question for you. It's a question that could be answered with either one word, or we could probably talk about it for the next 3 hours.
Okay.
Is Doctor Who fantasy or science fiction?
It is a little bit of both.
Because the science fiction they have in it is usually kind of magicked away, isn't it, by him just going,
it is.
Oh yeah, we'll just use
it is very much
that.
And this is why I'm not enjoying Doctor Who so much at the minute.
No, really?
Yeah. Because it gets more and more fantasy, and it gets less and less believable, and stuff makes less sense. And I'm not just talking about the techno-babble, but the storylines. And it really is the fantasy, I think, interfering with the storylines. And a kind of a general fantasy attitude that you can just go, yeah, that happened, because it's magic.
Right, okay. Is it, though, that we're following a character around who is from a civilization that's so advanced
it seems like
it seems like magic to us?
Of course. And that's always been... Well, no, Doctor Who hasn't always been so powerful, actually, but he gets more and more powerful and more godlike.
Right.
Things don't make sense, and you go, what? Why did I invest in this when he was just going to wave his hand and summon some demons, essentially?
Yeah, okay. Can you think of any examples of that? I'm struggling actually. I struggle to remember anything from Doctor Who. I'll watch an episode and enjoy it immensely, but
and then 5 minutes later you can't remember because none of it has any weight. This is the problem. It's enjoyable and it's entertaining to watch at the time, but because the story isn't tight, because you don't really feel that sense of jeopardy. You know the Doctor's going to save the day in the end.
Yeah.
But you don't really care how he does it, so long as it's got a bit of a joke to it.
As long as it's fun.
As long as it's fun.
I've always thought that. As long as it's fun, it doesn't really matter.
But sometimes it happens at the expense of drama. And drama is what's memorable.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't think of any examples of all the hand waving, because that just happens in every episode.
Ah, the hand wavium.
Hand wavium, yes. But there's one really good example of something that just didn't make any sense, and that was that episode about the gas giant that's a god.
What?
It was a gas giant.
Yeah.
Or was it a star? Or no, it's a gas giant. And there's this temple orbiting it, and they go that there's a little girl that's singing to it. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Quite a recent one. With
And
Clara.
the girl had to.
Clara in a leaf.
Oh, and a leaf. I thought the leaf story was good, but that was the only good bit of that episode. So the little girl had to sing to this gas giant, otherwise some sort of monster would come out and kill people.
Yeah.
Is that right?
This was a real shark jumping moment for me. Because this monster, it turns out, ate stories. And it needed some really good stories, otherwise it was going to go mad and presumably eat everyone. I don't know.
Oh,
or maybe it would just
stories.
eat their minds because it likes stories. That's fine. But yeah,
Okay.
it didn't. The Doctor didn't fill it. The Doctor is kind of timeless and everything, and you've got this wealth of stories behind him. That wasn't enough to fill this thing, so it ate the kind of the story of this leaf that had gone through time and was the most important leaf in the universe. And then it went back to sleep because it was full. I don't understand why this thing's a threat. First of all, why is that leaf more important than the Doctor, who's travelled through time?
Right, yeah. I've seen a lot of stuff, yeah.
And also, if this thing eats stories and kind of sentiment or whatever, it's got thousands of people worshipping it. Could they not just tell it stories?
I don't know.
Why would this thing be a threat to anyone?
It didn't make sense. The whole episode didn't make sense.
It did.
To say that,
and it's a shame because the episode started really nicely. It was really well. I don't know. It was fascinating.
yeah.
And then at the end, it was such a massive letdown that nothing made any sense. But here's the thing: it was big. It was grandiose in the end.
You mean in the way that the music went all loud and it was emotional and they put a lot of importance on it?
This is what Doctor Who's doing. It's doing this all the time now, and it's getting annoying. There's an orchestra, so this is therefore amazing, and everyone thinks it's amazing. But hang on, what about the story? This makes no sense.
There have been many times where it's been brilliant, though. They've done it very, very well. The whole thing with the orchestra, and it has been emotional. They can do it very well. But yeah, maybe they're trying to do it too much.
I think during the David Tennant years, they did it very well.
Yep.
Because they kept the stories quite simple.
Yeah.
But now they're overcomplicating things, and the writers, they kind of go a bit J.J. Abrams.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Let's not get into J.J. Abrams on the first podcast.
No. But this is an overriding trend that I'm seeing throughout the entire genre, is writers really getting big ideas and not knowing how to finish them, and just kind of, I don't know, sweeping over it.
With a bit of hand wavium. Well, isn't that they're focusing on the story, not the...
The hand wavium is never written. It's never a narrative device. It's usually a directorial device.
Yeah.
It usually is the music and the effects and everything is used to sweep the story aside, and then everyone seems to forget that the plot went wibbly-wobbly and didn't work. The problem is with people like Abrams that...
No, let's not talk about Abrams. We haven't got time to talk about it. We'll be here forever. Save that for another podcast.
Okay.
If we can call it the Abrams cast.
Yeah, well, we'll just slate him for an entire half hour.
I'll stick up for him.
Why?
Because... No, let's leave that. Let's leave why, because that's getting on to the topic of Abrams again.
Yes, yeah. Okay, we'll leave it there then. This has been the Sci-Fi Ideas podcast. I've been Mark Ball. You can contact me at mark@sci-fiideas.com.
And I've been David Ball. You can contact me at david@ongoingworlds.com.
Thanks for listening. We should be back next month with another episode of the podcast. Until then, keep sci-fiing.
Don't use that. We need a better sign-off than that.
We do. If you can think of a good sign-off, email me, mark@sci-fiideas.com. We're obviously useless.
Okay, bye. We'll be back next